Last Christmas, I was sitting on my couch while the whole family was making chaos in the living room. Kids making a mess of the decorations, Santa stuck in the chimney, Dumbledore hijacking the toilet, the Avengers fighting Thanos in the backyard. A typical holiday story. But that didn't bother me at all because I had my box of delicious Christmas cookies and a Home Alone marathon all tracked up. But have you ever wondered how these buttery, sugary masterpieces are mass-produced in a factory? Oh, you haven't? What's the secret ingredient that makes every sugar cookie taste like a holiday miracle? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to sprinkle some cookie wisdom on you like powdered sugar on a fresh batch. Spoiler alert, it involves science, machines, and a ridiculous amount of dough. Before we dive into this sweet and sugary saga, don't forget to hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. Alright, let's bake some knowledge. Step 1. The dough starts its delicious journey. First things first, every sugar cookie begins its life as dough. But this isn't your grandma's dough-making session, where you spill flour everywhere and blame the dog. No, this is factory-level dough-making. A chaotic yet precise symphony of ingredients and machines. It starts with flour, which is essentially just ground-up wheat kernels. In the factory, they use all-purpose flour. Why? Need soft cookies? Done. Need cookies that won't crumble under holiday pressure? Double done. But before this flour joins the party, it's sifted through industrial sifters. But what happens if this critical step is skipped? Spoiler. Imagine your little hand strainer. Now multiply that by about 10,000. These sifters are so fine, they could separate a grain of flour from its ego. The goal? No lumps, no bumps, just smooth, silky perfection, ready to mix with the other stars of the cookie show. Wheat is basically a plant that decided to be useful. The flour is combined with sugar, and not just a pinch of sugar, like in your diet recipes. Factories use mountains of sugar. I'm talking sugar so high, it could probably apply for its own zip code. Next up, butter. Not margarine, not I can't believe it's not butter, but real, glorious, artery-clogging butter. Factories don't just toss in a stick or two like you do at home. No, this is butter on a grand scale. Massive slabs of creamy goodness are delivered in refrigerated trucks to keep them cool. Then, they're sent to a machine that slices them into manageable pieces with what can only be described as a butter guillotine. It's oddly dramatic, but also necessary. Why the coolness obsession, you ask? If the butter warms up too soon, it'll melt into an oily disaster, and nobody wants greasy cookies. Unless that's your thing. No judgment. It's dumped in massive quantities into industrial mixers that look like the love child of a blender and a cement truck. Then we've got eggs, because apparently cookies can't exist without chickens getting involved. Factories crack thousands of eggs per hour, using machines that are better at it than you'll ever be. These machines are like the ninjas of egg cracking. They have suction cups that lift the eggs, tap them just enough to crack the shells, and separate the yolks and whites with the precision of a brain surgeon. All this happens faster than you can say omelette. If the recipe only calls for yolks or whites, these machines have your back. They'll sort them out with zero mistakes. Meanwhile, you're still trying to fish out that one shell fragment from your bowl. But wait, what's a sugar cookie without a little flavor flair? Factories add vanilla extract, which is basically bottled happiness, and sometimes almond extract for that extra I taste fancy vibe. Finally, baking powder or soda is added, because nobody likes a flat, lifeless cookie. It's science, kids. Tiny gas bubbles make the dough puff up like it just won the lottery. Step 2. Mixing the dough, aka the big cookie mashup. Once all these ingredients are together, it's time for the giant mixer to do its thing. Imagine your KitchenAid mixer on steroids, the kind you have to plug into its own power grid. This industrial marvel kneads and churns the dough until it's smoother than your pickup lines at holiday parties. The key here is balance. Too much mixing, and the dough turns into glue. Too little, and you get a crumbly mess that can't hold itself together, much like me during Christmas shopping. And let's not forget temperature control. If the dough gets too warm, the butter melts too soon, and you end up with a sad cookie puddle instead of a festive treat. Step 3. Shaping the cookies, the cutter chaos. How do factories turn a giant blob of dough into those perfect holiday shapes? The answer will blow your gingerbread mind. Once the dough is mixed to perfection, it's time to shape these bad boys. Factories don't mess around with rolling pins and cookie cutters like us peasants at home. No, they've got conveyor belts and precision engineering. First, the dough is rolled out into perfect sheets. Then comes the fun part. Giant cookie cutters stamp out shapes like stars, Christmas trees, snowmen, and whatever else screams holiday spirit. Each cutter is like a cookie superhero, punching through the dough with laser-guided precision. And what happens to the leftover dough bits, you ask? Don't worry, they're not wasted. Factories scoop up those scraps and toss them back into the mixer to start the cycle again. It's the cookie equivalent of recycling. And honestly, it's beautiful. But here's a plot twist you didn't see coming. Some factories don't actually bake the cookies. Instead, they flash freeze the shaped dough and ship it off to stores or bakeries to be baked on site. Why? Because it gives the cookies that freshly baked vibe that makes people think they're eating a homemade treat. So, next time you bite into what you thought was a just-out-of-the-oven cookie, you might actually be enjoying something that's been chilling out in a freezer for months. Mind blown, right? Don't worry, it still tastes just as magical. Step 4. Baking, where the magic happens. Now it's time to bake these little doughy masterpieces. The cookie shapes are loaded onto baking trays and sent through giant industrial ovens that are hotter than your aunt's questionable Christmas casserole. These ovens operate on conveyor belts, so the cookies get baked at just the right speed. Curiosity loop. What's the one scientific reaction that turns plain dough into golden brown deliciousness? Here's the science. The butter melts, the sugar caramelizes, and the flour proteins form a golden brown crust. And here's where the magic really happens, folks. The golden brown color you love? That's thanks to the Maillard reaction, a fancy term for when heat makes proteins and sugars kiss. It's a little like caramelizing onions, except nobody cries while making cookies. This reaction creates not just the perfect color, but also the irresistible aroma that could lure Santa himself out of retirement. And those soft, slightly crispy edges, that's all about balancing the bake time to the second. Too long, and it's a crunchy disaster. Too short, and you've got dough that's still confused about its purpose in life. The temperature and timing are carefully controlled because overbaking results in cookies that could double as hockey pucks, and underbaking leaves you with dough that's just sad. As the cookies emerge from the ovens, they're cooled down using giant fans. This isn't some delicate, blow-on-it-with-your-mouth situation. These fans are so powerful, they could probably launch a small child into orbit. Having fun so far? Please take a minute to show us your love by hitting that like and subscribe button. Now back to the video. Step 5. Decoration. The holiday glow-up. What's a sugar cookie without some over-the-top decorations? Boring. That's what. The naked cookies are sent to the decorating station where things get colorful. Factories use machines that drizzle icing with surgical precision. This isn't your average drizzle, folks. The icing is made from powdered sugar mixed with water or milk and food coloring that's brighter than your neighbor's Christmas lights. And the machines applying it? Absolute pros. Think of a robot holding a piping bag, except it's a lot faster and doesn't stop to lick its fingers. Then come the sprinkles. Oh, the sprinkles! These little sugar nuggets are shot onto the cookies with air cannons, like edible confetti fired by a sugar-obsessed party planner. Red, green, silver, there's no holding back. Each cookie looks like it just stepped off a festive runway. Picture robots armed with frosting guns, creating perfect designs faster than you can say, "Merry Christmas." The icing can be anything from snowflakes to Santa faces, depending on how festive the factory is feeling that day. And don't forget sprinkles. Sprinkles are the edible confetti of the cookie world, and they're applied with an enthusiasm that can only be described as aggressive. There are red sprinkles, green sprinkles, gold stars, silver balls, basically anything that makes you go, "Wow, that's a lot." Step 6. Packaging. The final countdown. Now that the cookies are fully dressed, it's time to send them off to their final destination, your local store. The cookies are packed into boxes or tins that scream holiday cheer, but not before they go through a quality check. That's right, there's a team of cookie inspectors making sure no rogue, ugly cookie sneaks into the batch. Talk about a dream job. Each box is sealed up tight to keep the cookies fresh, but sealing them up isn't just about slapping on a lid and calling it a day. Factories often use nitrogen flushing to push out any oxygen before sealing the package. Why? Because oxygen, while great for breathing, is the arch nemesis of fresh cookies. By replacing it with nitrogen, the cookies stay fresher, longer. It's like wrapping them in a time capsule of deliciousness. Oh, and the boxes, designed not just for cuteness, but also to survive being tossed around like they're in a UPS juggling competition. Then they're loaded onto trucks and shipped across the country to fill store shelves and, eventually, your bellies. And there you have it. That's how Christmas sugar cookies go from raw ingredients to the festive treats you leave out for Santa. So, the next time you bite into one of these delicious little morsels, take a moment to appreciate the insane amount of science, machinery, and sprinkle enthusiasm that went into making it. If this video made you smile, crave cookies, or both, like and subscribe for more sweet content. And hey, don't think cookies are only made directly in the store. Thanks for watching, and may your holidays be as sweet as a sugar cookie.